I also understand why this president is thinking of doing such thing when the judges and the courts are at every turn impeding him.
Hi, I'm going to stop you right here because this is very dangerous territory. Number one, the courts aren't impeding what the president is doing. The courts are simply exercising a power that is vested in them by the Constitution. Second, and most importantly, people, including you, have to understand how suspension of habeas corpus works. Suspension of habeas corpus is a very generic concept that's mentioned only once in the Constitution in Article 1, Section 9, where it says that it can be suspended only in case of rebellion or invasion. Now, this clause is included in Article 1 of the Constitution. Article 1 governs the legislative branch, which makes most people assume that the only body that can suspend the writ of habeas corpus is the legislative branch, Congress, but that is not spelled out specifically in the Constitution. So before you say that it's understandable that the President of the United States wants to suspend the writ of habeas corpus because it would allow the White House to process undocumented aliens without the burden of courts, you need to understand that a declaration of suspension could be just a generic declaration of suspension. That means that anybody in the United States from that point on could be jailed for what the White House deems to be an insurrection or a rebellion. You demonstrate against a policy by the executive, well, that could be considered rebellion, so everybody goes to jail. You make a social media post that criticizes the current administration, well, that could be considered rebellion, so you go to jail. Oh, and the system could break down from that point on, expanding beyond civilians and into other branches of the government. Congress votes in favor of a law that limits the powers of the president because the powers of the president are out of control. Well, that could be called rebellion, so all the lawmakers that voted in favor, off to jail they go. The Supreme Court decides that that application of the suspension of habeas corpus is unconstitutional. Well, let's call that rebellion, and you know what the result would be. This is a very dangerous slippery slope designed not only to bypass the exercise of constitutionally mandated powers by the courts, but also to potentially set the stage for the government to repress dissent. And if that thought doesn't absolutely terrify you, then it might already be too late.